Right, let's do it. Action.
We've been a band for 16 years.
We're best mates. We had 7 number ones, 2 number 1 albums, touring the world.
I have the best 3 friends in the world and best bandmates anyone could ever ask for.
It goes deeper than just being a band. It's about brotherhood.
To be the band of the moment is an amazing experience. There's only one way you go from there.
I just feel like I've been on the edge of crying for the past hour.
I think we all wanted to kind of give everyone that kind of insight into what really happened.
Cracks started to form, little things getting swept under the rug.
The divide got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just kind of gave up.
We were such a tight bubble, so I would never have believed we'd get to a stage where we weren't talking to each other.
He was gone. It was too late. I've gone from having 2 bands to none at all.
Have I broken up the band?
It was important for us to give some context to the fans.
They deserve to know what's happened. This is a story about love and heartbreak and highs and lows, and it's about dealing with those things. So here we go. It's all about us. How was that? Natural?
Hi.
Okay. I don't know why I'm laughing. Hello, I'm Tom Fletcher from the band McFly.
I'm Harry Judd, and I'm the drummer in McFly.
My name is Dougie Lee Pointer, and I play the bass guitar in a band called McFly.
I don't know what I am. What am I, McFly?
So, this is how the story starts. I was 17. My management, they were managing me, and they were managing Busted, and they were putting together a new band, a traditional, all singing, all dancing boy band, pop boy band.
My sister, she was like, oh, here's an audition for you. You should go to it. They're looking for, Universal looking for band members.
My management said, if you come along and film the auditions and take Polaroids of the guys that are auditioning, we'll pay you a bit of money to be there.
As it printed out, there was a bit missing where it said, no guitarist.
And then suddenly in walks this guy who was completely wrong for a boy band, and it was Danny.
And they go, right, guys, we're going to play 30 seconds of music, and we want to see how you can dance. So I'm like, oh, my God.
And they're like, oh, Tom, why don't you, take 10 minutes and go and teach him a Backstreet Boys song?
Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Which one is that?
If there is such thing as a soulmate, I felt like I'd met him.
It was a complete natural rapport that we had with each other.
My manager was kind of like, he'd be really perfect for you, Tom. Why don't you go and talk to him afterwards and see if he wants to write with you?
And from that point on, I just knew I didn't want to carry on doing that audition. I knew I wanted to start a band with Tom.
It was destiny. And I don't think I've ever felt that connection with anyone before. And it was like, that is the next stepping stone on this journey.
I started getting the train down to London. We stayed in the Intercontinental. It was just such an easy process with Tom, and it was that point I knew it was like, yeah, we got something here, we got something special.
And we just hung out and wrote songs. It was just a really fun, creative summer with loads of momentum. Looking back, this was really the kind of discovery of what was going to become McFly. Song after song after song after song that felt like we just created, that became our sound, but we were missing the rest of the band. And so we just started holding auditions for drummers and bass players.
Got there really early. I threw up in a bin because I was so nervous. I mean, I was 15 then.
This dude walks in with his blonde fringe into his eyes. I couldn't even see his eyes. And I'm thinking, who's this guy? Looks like he's from South Park.
The manager, Fletch, was like, yeah, okay, don't know what we're gonna do, just play something pop.
And it just threw him, I think.
And I was like, oh, wait, I learned the bass line to Billie Jean. Here we go. You can
imagine it.
Oh, crap, that's the only bit I learned.
Like, in my memory, it's an eternity. It goes on and on and on until Fletch was like,
yeah, we'll be in touch. Not.
that was it. Like, that was his chance. Just being like, I thought that was going to be really, I thought it was going to be really good. You know, and then, you know, a little bit later in the day, you get Harry who walks in, who is like the polar opposite to Dougie.
And I was like, hi, my name's Harry. Yeah, I've been playing the drums for 2 years.
And he's like, right, I'm Harry, yeah. I'm going, whoa, dude.
You know, he like brings up his chair really close to the audition table. Like, I think in my memory, he swings the chair around and sits on it kind of backwards. Like, who does that? Harry Judd does that.
And he starts playing drums, like, oh, he's a decent drummer, though. He's a decent drummer.
I mean, I could never be that confident now. 2 weeks later, I got the phone call. I was officially in the band. So it was Tom, Danny, and Harry.
Our manager sent me a demo of the band and was like, look, we're really scraping the barrel here. Learn these songs and we'll like give you a second chance.
And it was that point we knew what he was about.
I always thought you guys were really good guitarists. Not quite as good as I remember.
I honestly feel like someone's winded me.
Even the fact that we said no to Dougie and he was terrible in the audition, but still somehow managed to be in the band. If that's not fate, what is it? You know, it was just, we were meant to be together. Us four were meant to be together.
So we had this house in North London that was being paid for by this amazing record deal that Tom and Danny had signed.
Living in the band house, looking back, was like just the most ridiculously fun time of my life.
You know, kids. I just turned 18. Danny was 17, Harry was 17.
Wow.
We were so not ready to live alone.
We weren't really into going out partying, especially with Dougie as well, because he was too young to go out.
They were older and the guys totally looked after me. Harry taught me how to shave. I mean, a couple of them were like bad influences in other areas.
What do 17-year-olds do when they've got a house to themselves? We just stayed up all night. It was like, we don't have to go to bed.
I mean, it was disgusting. We had maggots in the bin and cockroaches. I mean, it was a lovely house, but we destroyed it. We're not allowed to go back and visit. It's why we're not back there for this show, because they won't let us back in to film. So we went from no one knowing who we were to then our first single coming out and being #1 for 2 weeks.
I remember being in the band house and we were listening to the top 40 and it was announced and #1 as McFLY with their debut single, 5 Colours in Her Hair.
Who's that? Who are these people?
And suddenly, people knew who we were. Like, literally overnight.
Please welcome McFLY. McFLY!
It's McFLY! It's McFLY!
I remember going to see the UK for the first time. I remember thinking this is going to be so embarrassing because no one's going to know who we are. But all these girls were like really reacting to us and they didn't seem to care about the other boy bands. And it was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
We didn't even know how good that was.
If I was #1 for 2 weeks now, I'd be walking outside all day. I won't go home.
Then our second single went to #1. And then our album came out and our album was #1. And then our tour sold out.
It felt like nothing could go wrong.
As much as it's fun, you also have worked really hard. Because when you are suddenly #1, then your schedule is full. Like, we did not stop.
Suddenly being in Japan, you know, and meeting these Japanese fans, and in South America having hundreds of people at the airport thinking, how do they even know who we are?
One girl like knocked on the door and pretended to be a stripper, and 16-year-old me just like did not know what the hell to do.
They used to send some mad things. You know, who doesn't want a tenor lady with a note on it saying how much they love you through the post? You know, it makes your day.
You know, I can see how incredibly lucky we were to have that craziness, because that is 1 in a million.
The winner is McFly.
Last year it was Busted, and this year McFly snatched the Pop Award away from the competition.
Yes! 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 Song!
I'd like to find a kiss, you left me in the mood.
Look at my sideburns. Why didn't no one say anything? Why did no one say anything? Look at it.
I'd just like to say a massive thank you.
7 #1s, 2 #1 albums. You know, we were touring the world. I'm just grateful that I could share it with my mates, with my band.
To be the band of the moment is an amazing experience. You know, we were inseparable, and so I would never have believed we'd get to a stage where we weren't talking to each other.
And he just said, look, what I'm saying is, if you're going to carry on and do the band right now, then I'm out.
Hey.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, hey, love.
How are you? How's Mum?
Yeah, well, we're fine. We're all good. We're good.
The years go by, and the time likes to.
I reckon, like, the years go by, and that time likes to fly. You know what I mean? Like,
We were making our 6th album in 2013, and it came to a head with this song called Carrots and Peas.
Music was great, records were played.
that was ridiculous.
What was that one
But
about?
I could see it
You were
building.
just such a bait. I think because you didn't want to record the song, and then you actually just didn't bother learning it.
Life was beautiful. Yeah, I need a break before thinking it.
Having a quick break, Ad.
How I see it is that our band was going through some kind of second stage of puberty. We'd had our run of being like right at the very top and couldn't do any wrong.
And by this point, you know, you've got the new younger bands coming through. You know, you got One Direction and the Vamps, who are kind of compared to you, being like, they're the new you. Being like, God, we've got to that point already. That was quick.
That was the hardest thing for us. Accepting, okay, maybe we're not quite selling as many tickets as we were. We're not just going straight to #1 every time.
I lost sight of, and with my bandmates making music that I love, I was actually focused on how to write a song that's going to be #1 again. How do we make an album that's going to give us a sellout tour again? How do we become the band that everyone screams the loudest for at these shows again?
We then went through that stage where the songs were overthought and they just weren't as good.
I feel like that was the start of me becoming really difficult to be in a band with, because I'd assumed this role of the leader of the band.
And so, you know, there was a bit of tension, I think, for Danny. You know, he sometimes felt like not listened to.
It always felt like, you know, Danny and Dougie, they'll get over it, or they're easy to please. But it weren't. It was deeper than that. It was like we felt so frustrated. You know, the amount I used to say or the way I felt, and it never got heard.
Tom and I actually had quite a turbulent relationship in the first part of being in McFly. We kind of wanted to lead naturally, you know, and Danny and Dougie were a lot more laid back and kind of just went along with things.
I was awful to Harry back in the day, because I was like, especially musically, because I had this vision of what the sound was going to be and how the drums should go, and we'd end up screaming at each other, you know. But it was creative arguments, but we'd argue, and then we'd go home and play video games and order pizza.
But that never happened with Dougie. He would never lose his temper. He just let it bubble up for years and years.
I always remember that about Dougie's first time he went to rehab, and we were in a car park, and he said, lads, I'm going to check myself in tonight. And I just felt it's almost overwhelming, like, wow, when you're so close to someone like that, and it's like you think you know everything about them, and then suddenly they've got this huge weight on their shoulders and challenging addiction and all that.
I really, really struggle with confrontation. Maybe like when I was in my early 20s, through things going on in my life, I went to rehab and learned that I can't just keep putting yourself in situations that you find uncomfortable. It was me being like super, super submissive that had driven me into rehab, so I had to stop being like that, which was the hardest thing.
As lads, we were good at talking, but we weren't very good at emotionally talking.
People were just like sitting on issues and probably building resentments. Yeah, little things getting swept under the rug have just started to, you know, now you can see a little hump in the rug where there's so much crap under there.
We would not really communicate because we love each other and we never wanted to really hurt each other.
I remember Tom and Dougie talking about this idea. I was like, why are they talking about something that's really exciting that I'm not involved in? And that was like, whoa, the dynamics changed a bit because I was like, oh, I thought we were like together on everything.
I was writing this book with Dougie and I didn't ever tell Danny I was going to do that. Not that I felt like I had to ask his permission, but deep down I knew I should have like communicated that to him. Because he, you know, I don't know if he would have cared about it, but it would have been nice for him to know.
I think the main thing about the book was just feeling uninvolved, like uninvited. Yeah, because we always did everything together. I like that about us. And that was the first kind of thing that it was like, okay, maybe we don't do everything together.
It's the stuff when we don't argue, that's when we ran into trouble.
Yeah,
it's when we didn't communicate and we didn't do the shouting and we didn't do that. You know, that's when it was really difficult.
McBusted was hugely successful and it sorted out a lot of the problems, but it just kind of covered over the cracks.
One day when I came home at lunchtime, I heard a fight. I went out to the backyard to find out if it was one of those radical...
McBusted was rad. I absolutely love Matt and James. We've always had that connection with Busted anyway, so doing McBusted was just like inviting a different group of mates over to play.
Let's go!
We were back in our comfort zone. You know, we were selling out arenas and we were reliving our glory days. And not many people get to do that.
We all got together that morning when the tour went on sale and we got the call to be like, all 11 shows have sold out. They're going to put more on. And then they sold out and they put more on and then they sold out. And then we got a call around midday on that day. We got a call saying like, you've been offered to headline Hyde Park in the summer. And we're just like, what?
That was sick. That was like beyond anything that I ever thought I'd ever do.
I'd achieved one of the dreams I had as a kid, which was play the same stage as Bruce Springsteen. And we just kind of did it as a band, and it was a massive, overwhelming day, that.
Being a four-piece band, or just a group of four, you know, four friends who are inseparable, suddenly adding two new people to that is strange.
Having Matt and James come in and almost laughing at some of our things that we took seriously or would squabble about, I liked. I'm like, yeah, it's like ridiculous some of the stuff we argue about.
In McBusted, I said nothing. I was like Dougie. And Dougie had become more like I was. Dougie did like all of the chat on stage.
Why is the little one talking? Wait, that guy can talk?
He definitely changed a bit, you know. And for the first time, I just started hearing him say, like, I spoke to so-and-so, and they said, like, you're crazy, and why don't you do this, and why don't you do that? And it was just like, oh, okay.
The whole issue with this situation was all down to communication.
McBusted was kind of like the plaster we were putting on the McFLY wounds for a while. And we were happy just to, you know, to go with that for a bit. I guess in the back of our heads, knowing at some point we were going to have to take that plaster off.
I feel her slipping through my fingers. Now she's gone. I'm sleeping with the light on. Shots slip through my veins now.
So McBusted was coming to an end. Me, Danny, and Tom had started the McFLY conversation, and Doug was never joining in on the conversation. And we were starting to get a bit nervous.
There was all these kind of like rumors that Doug was having acting lessons and, you know, going off to LA. Part of me was like, no, someone's got that wrong. And the other part was like, if that's true, then why hasn't he told me? Like, feeling really upset that it's like, he's got a whole new circle of friends that I don't even know about. I don't have any friends outside of these guys.
We were on tour in Europe with McBusted, and I managed to arrange like a dinner for the four of us because we needed the McFLY chat.
And this was like a defining moment, I feel like, in the stuff that followed and the kind of unraveling of our friendships.
We started talking about McFly, how we were going to approach the writing, where should we record, and me and Danny and Tom were getting really excited.
But Dougie just stayed quiet through the whole thing.
I was just feeling like, oh my God, this is horrible. We're losing him, and there's nothing I can do.
It was a Mexican restaurant, and we'd ordered these, like, nachos to share. And I feel like it's, like, the most symbolic thing. We got to this point where there was 4 nachos left in the middle of the table, and Harry picked one and ate it.
And then Tom took his one, and Danny had his.
And then there was 1 nacho left, and Dougie didn't eat the nacho. And I remember just sitting there in my head going, eat the nacho.
Doug, please, just eat the nacho. Just eat the nacho.
The band is the nachos, and if he doesn't eat that nacho, he doesn't want to be in the band anymore.
I finally just broke, and I was like, Doug, dude, do you want the nacho? And he was like, nah, man, I'm fine. I was like, oh. He's gone.
I don't know if I was putting it off. Maybe I was. As I said, like, I'm terrible with drama. I don't know how to deal with that.
The tour finished. We went away for a couple of weeks, and then it was the dreaded night in Notting Hill where we all met up.
Yeah, so the Notting Hill meeting was a strange one.
Doug called us all together for a meeting and said, I'm going to LA.
I remember getting a sense of, like, drama within, like, the circle, and 4 of us need a reset. Just take a little bit of a break.
I remember just saying, well, are you ever going to want to do it? And he was like, I don't know.
We were just shell-shocked, really.
And he just said, look, what I'm saying is if you're going to carry on and do the band right now, then I'm out.
It was like this huge blow. You know, it's so unjustified, really. I felt so betrayed. Not because he wanted a break from the band, because he hadn't told me.
We'd been a band for 13 years. It's all we'd ever known. It was everything to us. And suddenly it was like, for the first time, it was gone.
An hour ago, we were in 2 bands, McBusted and McFly, and now we have nothing, and we're a band member down.
Yeah, seems so strong. Yeah, it's been so long. My love has been so long.
I remember going home that night, lying in bed, and my heart was just thumping. And I'd just be like, can't believe it, you know?
McFly had been the defining thing in my life, and now the band's not here. I don't know who I am without this band.
We'd been a band for 13 years. It was everything, and suddenly it was gone.
You know, McFly is literally ingrained in my bones, and it runs through my veins.
You know, I was Tom from McFly, and it just kind of suddenly felt like I've lost all sense of identity.
Me saying I wanted to have a break had the complete opposite reaction to what I thought it was gonna. There was so much drama attached to it, and I'm like, oh.
Nothing is going right.
Me and Harry went over to Danny's to try and plan, formulate what we're going to do next. You know, and there was a definite, sense of us 3 uniting, and Dougie had alienated himself.
Me and Danny were like, let's just carry on without him, and because I was so cross, and Tom was just like, guys, come on.
McFly is us 4, We can't do it without Doug. And, I looked around my house, and there was, like, the discs from our albums and pictures from tours and the awards that we'd won on the shelves, and every time you look at them, it's a constant reminder of what you don't have anymore. So I just took McFly down and put it out of my life.
I felt totally insecure, like, what am I good for? Without this band, I'm nothing.
I was already writing books, ironically, with Dougie before this point. But I was like, do you know what? I don't want to do any other band. I'm going to focus on writing.
And I thought, you've got to just get on with it. And I did some things, and it was fun. I had some amazing experiences I'm very grateful for. But I spent most of my time talking about McFly.
I coped with the break by doing a solo tour, solo music. And then obviously the Voice Kids. I think the boys found it hard that I was doing music, but that's all I knew what to do.
My instinct on that was that, well, if he's doing a solo album, that's McFly's over. Because he's our front man.
What he did wrong was just not communicating it properly, because I think Tom suddenly found out, and he was like, what?
I didn't leave the band to go solo. I was just put in that situation, and for some reason, I still felt this almighty guilt for doing it.
It just created this split.
We all just like completely ignored each other and didn't communicate. Just remember feeling like we've fallen into like some weird parallel universe where everything's wrong and felt like another nail in the coffin for McFly.
On the one hand, I felt inspired because I had friends in Los Angeles who would take me around to see other bands and stuff. And on the other hand, I'm like, oh man, but my band's broken and it's all my fault. And Valium is like a way of just making all of that disappear.
And so I'd seen Doug a couple of times and just felt like he was not in a good place.
He was talking like gibberish, and I was just like, hang on a second.
He went from being like quite sketchy to being super chilled and like almost dribbling. And again, I was like, there's something wrong, man, there's something wrong.
He's on something. And he'd been clean for like 6 years, I think.
The other guys noticed and worked out pretty quickly that I was on something.
And it just became, pretty clear that he was in need of a bit of help. And, just suddenly it's like everything's irrelevant. All the issues are irrelevant.
Having been so angry at Dougie for a couple of years, and then suddenly seeing him go through all that again, I felt really sad.
I was so close to him and I didn't even notice. He was so good at hiding it from me. And that's what's scary about it.
It was a big kind of wake-up call for us all, I think. Because we were like, we've not been there for each other. He's my best friend, and I didn't even know he was struggling.
I said to him, listen, don't freak out, mate, but I know you're taking something. Is everything okay? And then he sort of told me what he'd been taking. He was like at that lethal dosage.
That's the closest I've come, I think, to really losing myself.
We'd been through it before with Doug, and so we kind of knew how to deal with it this time.
I flew out to this rehab and began a really horrible detox program, which is like, going to hell and back.
I remember feeling really upset and just thinking, oh, I feel so sorry for Dougie.
So it's quite hard to explain. It was the weirdest time, like, what was that, my late 20s, just gone. But there was this like realization of McFly is like non-existent anymore. Like, what the hell is going on?
I remember as well just telling him, like, dude, we're always going to be there. Just like he would be for us.
I guess that was kind of an amazing feeling that no matter like what was kind of going on with the band, that just kind of got pushed to the side for a second.
Because with Dougie, he moved in at 15, his parents split up. We were his family. We were all each other's family, really, but probably more so with Dougie. Because we were all he'd ever had to cling on to when there was tough things going on in his life.
One day we'll watch us back with our grandchildren. Our grandchildren.
So he went to rehab, and obviously isn't really allowed to talk to you. And his counsellor messaged me, and as part of his recovery, someone had to write him a letter. Someone that meant a lot to him. And, Right. Yeah, it was really tough to write, because as much as Danny and Harry, my best friend, me and Dougie were best friends who did everything together, and we'd lost that.
My connection with Tom has always been a little bit different to the others. I don't know why. Maybe more like sensitive.
Yeah, when me and Danny could like shout at each other and get our emotions off our chest, me and Dougie never did that. It all remained inside. And asking me to write down the things he'd done made me realize, he was taking responsibility for things that weren't on him. When you start, feeling like, oh, okay, he blames himself. And I've been blaming him, but the truth is, I'm to blame too. It's like they're believing that blame that you've given them, and it's not justified at all. It became clear that one of the biggest blocks for the band was my relationship with Doug. And actually, that was the thing we really needed to prepare. So Doug asked if I'd go to counselling with him.
Having like one-to-one therapy with Tom where I thought, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like... Actually, it was just like the coolest thing we've ever done.
It was just so right. We just really needed that.
And that I feel was like kind of the beginning of it, of mending our relationship.
And we literally came out of that and like, we need to get the other two in. We need to do that together, all four of us. Where me and Danny aren't gonna shout at each other. Harry's not gonna try and control the situation. You know, Doug's gonna say how he feels. And so we did. Like a week later, we all went in with each other.
It was quite overwhelming. You know, I felt sick, I was nervous, I was sweating.
And we were just able to have a pretty honest conversation in that session.
Just telling each other, not just how much we loved each other, how much we'd hurt each other, but in a way that wasn't shouting.
But it's an unbelievable feeling once you finish and you get it all off your chest and you understand.
I think now we have a way deeper respect for each other.
Like, we came out and I was like, oh my God, why didn't we do that 5 years ago? You know?
I think once that session was done, it was like, right, let's just get on with it now, you know?
I was literally like a racehorse ready to go. Like, I'm stuck in the cage on the, you know, at Newmarket like that. I'm ready to go, let me go.
There's a kind of unspoken fifth member to this band, which is our manager, Fletch. He then sent us all a message asking if we'd all get together for dinner at this hotel. And he just went, so.
Guys, I've booked the O2. Who's in?
And it was just this surreal moment. Caught us all off guard.
Who doesn't want to play the O2?
Danny, you in?
I'm in.
Are you in?
I'm in.
Harry, you in?
Yeah, I'm in, mate.
Tom, you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
McFly's alive again, more than ever. It's like you've got your life back, you know? It's a good feeling.
It's so strange because from that day on, it was like nothing had happened. To have gone through nearly losing each other, to being on stage at a sold-out O2, playing to people who cared as much about our band as we do. Like, we're back.
O2, you ready?
The best time I can remember being in the band is now.
It feels fresh again, it feels like something new.
Honestly, one of the most enjoyable things for our band to do is write songs at the moment.
You know, my wife says, oh, how was work? I says, yeah, just spent all day laughing, you know.
We're just back to messing around and being us four at our best.
I love the music, I love the fans, and I love the band.
We had our first photo shoot together, four of us. Oh, I just feel like I've been on the edge of crying for the past hour. I guess what's making me actually upset is that first day we were back together. Like, we just spent the whole day. We just spent the whole day laughing. Like, crying with laughter. I can't even begin to like try and put into words what this band means to me, you know.
We all needed a break from each other, and none of us knew that. But Doug knew.
Dougie did nothing wrong, and that's the biggest lesson that we've taken from this.
And looking back, that break was one of the best things we've ever done.
It's all I really know, and it's all I really want to know. I now don't really have any interest in being anything else other than Dougie from McFLY.
McFLY is just us four, and when we're friends, it will be there forever.
Oh, here we are. We're going to do a very special gig for our family and friends.
I'm looking forward to the kids seeing it.
Yeah, Cooper's never, he doesn't know what to do.
It's his first McFly show?
It's going to be his first one.
Same for Lola and kids.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm told Buzz yet. He's going to be so excited.
I was there when it happened. I was there when you fell. First time that I saw you cry, the magic died as well. I remember you told me, kid, go give him hell. I was always gonna buy the dream that you were trying to sell. Just one of 1,000 people. I didn't see it before. What am I waiting for? Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. Might have wasted the tears, but I won't waste the years. Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. I admit to myself that I'm asking for help. Na 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 na. Moments after it happened, thought, okay, this is fine. Then my heart took a holiday and I was left behind. So I stayed in the shadow of who I used to be. Now I look like the person that's been walking over me. Just one of 1,000,000 people. Didn't see it before. What am I waiting for? Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. Might have wasted the tears, but I won't waste the years. Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. I admit to myself that I'm asking for help. And I feel that I could fly away, miles away like you. Just one of 1,000 people, scared of asking for help, for my own mental health. Had to say to myself, tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. Might have wasted the tears, but I won't waste the years. Tonight is the night. Tonight is the night. I admit to myself that I'm asking for help. Yeah. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh. Tonight is the night.
So obviously, the year hasn't gone to plan for anyone, and we're meant to be touring a lot this year and playing some shows, so it means so much to us to be able to play a show today for possibly the toughest audience in the world, our kids and our families, but it's extremely special, so thank you all for being here to listen to us all play. You ready for a song?
Some people laugh, some people cry, some people live, some people die, some people run right into the fire. Some people hide their every desire, but we are the lovers. I know you believe me when you look into my eyes, 'cause the heart never lies. Some people fight, some people fall, others pretend they don't care at all. If you wanna fight, I'll stand right beside you. Day that you fall, I'll be right behind you to pick up the pieces. If you don't believe me, then just look into my eyes, 'cause the heart never lies. Another year over, we're still together. It's not always easy, but McFly's here forever. 'Cause we are the lovers. I know you believe me when you look into my eyes, because the heart never lies. Because the heart never lies.
The thing that we felt this incredible amount of guilt and responsibility for was that we never told anyone what was going on and didn't give the fans any explanation.
And I just want to tell this story. It's about love and heartbreak and highs and lows, and it's about dealing with those things, and that's what life's about.
The honest truth is all these things have made us stronger and better and closer. It goes deeper than just being a band. It's about brotherhood.
I have the best 3 friends in the world and best bandmates anyone could ever ask for.
I used to have sleepless nights thinking about how to write another #1. And, now what would give me sleepless nights is, worrying about my friends.
Stepping out my front door, don't know what I left for. Could have stayed in bed with you all day. I'm already calling, I love it when we're talking. I just want your voice inside my brain. I never thought a guy like me would find it. I would repeat it if I could rewind it. I guess the only way I could describe it, it's like hearing a love song and jumping inside it. So this is happiness, yeah, this is happiness. If this is happiness, I don't mind having this. So this is happiness, yeah, this is happiness. If this is happiness, I don't mind having this. Got me in a bubble, oblivious to trouble. Right now there's no one else I'd rather be. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, I don't think that I deserve it. I guess there's something in me I don't see. I never thought a guy like me would find it. I would repeat it if I could rewind it. I guess the only way I could describe it, it's like hearing a love song jumping inside it. So this is happiness. like hearing a love song and jumping inside it. So this is happiness. Yeah, this is happiness. If this is happiness, I don't mind having this. So this is happiness. Yeah, this is happiness. If this is happiness, I don't mind having this. Don't mind having this.